Now, it's no secret that 2024 has been a challenging year for global supply chains, and a Maersk survey of over 2,000 customers revealed that 76% of them have seen supply chain disruptions causing delays to their operations over the past 12 months. So, without being too doom and gloom about the year ahead, is it safe to say that disruption is perhaps the new normal now?
Yeah, I believe so. And I think that if you look into the previous years, also to 2024, we have been suffering of a high number of disruptions, and customers have been trying to overcome them in different ways. Now, what is interesting looking forward is that it's not anymore about being able to diversify your supply chain and the number of suppliers, for example, to reduce the exposure that you have to risk. Neither is just about being able to react fast. It's about doing those things better than your competitors. And that changes also the game looking forward and makes it challenging, but also exciting for the people leading supply chains.
So Juan, you mentioned diversifying, and in that context, we hear a lot about nearshoring and nearshoring. So do we expect the disruptions we've seen in 2024 to elevate nearshoring and nearshoring higher on the agenda of businesses?
Well, I think so, but it's important also to consider that what customers are doing and companies are doing is looking at the end-to-end supply chain and making sure that they diversify their footprint of suppliers, that they decide strategically where to put stock and how much to put, and usually not in one place, right? You want it also to be distributed. And when you start playing with that and also where your customers are, you end up having strategies like near sourcing, but you can also be considering strategies like segmenting your supply chain depending on different expectations from your customers, but it could also be having a supply chain as a service that give you a little bit more of flexibility and reliability over other partners that you have on the supply chain.
And as you say, there are a lot of factors that come into deciding on a near sourcing strategy, which leads me into my next question really. We know that resilience does come at a price. So how would you advise companies to strike that balance between cost and resilience effectively moving into 2025?
Yeah, I think that's very important. Usually we think about the cost that comes with resilience, but I think it's important to consider two perspectives. One is the right to play, and another one is the right to win. When it comes to the right to play, it's about, are you able to meet your customer and consumer expectations in terms of how resilient your supply chain is, right? They don't want to be in the situation that you as a supplier are not able to deliver on the product that they need. So you need to be able to prove to your customers that you have done your homework and make sure that your supply chain is resilient. Now, on the other hand is your right to win. And this is about being able to react faster to the different disruptions and have a supply chain that is more resilient, so that in the case that that happens, you can actually win market share, right? That basically means bring the product where your competitors cannot. So when we look into resilience of the supply chain, yes, there is a cost, there is an investment, right? But more important is how that investment relates to the potential value that you can acquire in case of a disruption that we have seen is something that is the new normal.
So another challenging balancing act of 2023 and 2024 was the supply and demand imbalance. Do we now expect to see more companies getting involved with plant resilience, for example, by placing stock in certain strategic locations? And are those strategic locations going to change in 2025 versus what we saw in 2024?
Yeah. Plant resilience is a useful strategy as long as the location that you pick and the size of the stock that you pick makes sense for the context that you have in terms of imbalances between the demand and the supply. And I will say, looking into the numbers towards 2025, that in terms of GDP growth, that looks, I would say, like pretty normal, like at 3% or so, not too high nor too low. And most of the industry seems to have inventory in the right locations. However, the geopolitical context is changing. And once the pieces are in place, companies and industries will need to rethink if they actually have the stock in the right place. And that may require some movement of goods across the world. So it's something that is useful, and it has helped in 2024, And it seems that we're prepared for 2025, but we need to rethink when the different pieces of the geopolitical context are in place.